Today, I'm pleased to welcome Elena Ledoux. She's an ARCSI member and the owner of Superb Maids in Las Vegas. Now, as an ARCSI member, you've also shared some content to our audience. One article in the latest issue of ISSA Today, which is at the printer right now, is how to handle employee claims. And you have 10 different points here. There's too many to talk about all in one recording of Straight Talk, but tell us your favorites. You must have a few here you feel are most important.
Yes, and I've handled my role as an attorney was to basically defend small business owners and sometimes large businesses from employee claims. And sometimes you just, want to face palm yourself when you see what the business owners did and the management did. They're trying to do the right thing and it's understandable, but that's what's causing a lot of damage and a lot of aggravation. So those 10 practices or best practices that are in the article, actually, they're all helpful, but the top three that I would recommend, us being focused today is actually number one, number two, and number three. So number one is very important and frequently overlooked. And thankfully, specifically in cleaning industry, it's not a big issue, but number one way to reduce your claims or reduce their cost is to treat your employees well with a lot of respect and kindness. And because when they did the studies, they said people who have workers who have high satisfaction level at their job, they like their boss, they're far less likely to stay out of work for a long time, which makes total sense in the world. So if you're really nice to your employees, not only would they clean better, as we all know, right? They'll clean with love, but they will also be far less likely to get hurt because they're not doing this angry type of cleaning. And also if they do get hurt, they try not to even file a claim. They'll start limping around, which I tell you, you still need to file a claim, but as soon as they get better, they go right back to work. Whereas if somebody who hates the job because they hate their boss, come on, let's face it, all of our employees have to scrub the toilets, right? It's no different from any across the entire membership here. It's the same job, but some people love it and some people don't. And what's the difference is how they're being treated by their boss, meaning by you. So if you treat your employees well and they get hurt, they will file workers' comp claim or you help them file. And then the minute they feel better, they go back. And if conversely, they hate you, they hate the job, then they'll stay out for as long as possible. And then they'll have psychological damage from that too. And it's going to be even longer and a lot more expensive. So if you don't want to be nice to your employees for humanitarian reasons or for quality of work reasons, at least, be for legal exposure.
Let me interrupt you here. That first one, in the article, there's only a couple of points. You really shared some good stuff there. It seems so basic. It should be it should be just a normal practice to treat people well and your employees. So, but as you said, it's overlooked. Why is that?
Because, sometimes it's like herding cats, right? So you have your employees working and, if you have a large company, there's a lot of employees working all day and they have their own issues. They're human, right? They're not perfect. So they could have, their tire blew up or they just head hurts or they just angry at their spouse.
Life happens.
Life happens. And then sometimes they just misbehave. And then over time, you become kind of aggravated by that. It's just a compounding. And I think that's what typically happens. Not like everybody starts evil. In the beginning, we all want to make them pancakes every morning, so all this stuff. But eventually, you're like, I just want to strangle everybody, right? And myself including, but it's important to remember just like a bigger picture as to what's going on, right? They're here, they're trying to make you prosperous and successful. You're trying to make them prosperous and successful. Has to be collaboration, not like us against them. I'll show those guys. Oh my God, those millennials, right? Like a eye rolling. It's like a contempt towards the people that you depend on.
All right. So that's one.
Yeah.
What's your second one?
Second one is have a legitimate safety program and training, including simple rules and enforce them strictly and consistently. Make a big deal about it. And best claims are the ones that never happen, obviously. So legitimate training program, meaning there's only certain ways that our employees get hurt. And by now you probably kind of sort of know, they lifted something, twisted, hurt their back. that thing never gets 100%. You're just lucky if it's just kind of like sort of starts feeling better. And so you can have a person who's disabled for the rest of their life just from that one bad turn. So obviously common like safety rules do not lift the couch, right? It's just like a common sense, and just how many times the injuries happen. Like another thing that happens is chemical exposure, because they have to spray stuff and breathe with it. Another thing is carpal tunnel syndrome, right? Like another thing is like not falling off some counter, like employees will climb the counter, fall because it's slippery, break the leg, break the whatever, and sometimes it doesn't heal properly. So these very common sense things that you should update, common sense rules. Make sure you're training everybody. And the easiest way to do it is like, as soon as somebody gets hired by you, put them through automatic training online. That's prerequisite for them starting their job. And I actually do like the safety training plus minimizing the property damage training at the same time in the beginning. And so that way I have a full confidence. If you're working for my company, I have 100% knowledge or confidence that you're familiar with our safety training. And that does work. That reduces kind of claims and injuries and property damage dramatically once you do it that way.
Thank you. The next point I know you're going to talk about, that seems like a given as well, to have go ahead.
Yeah, it's a communicate company policies and rules in writing. So, yeah.
Must not be happening.
It's not happening because it's like, well, it's common sense. Duh, they should know not to do that, right? Like, or I'm too busy. I've been stressed out that day or whatever. It's just the human nature. Unless you have a system in place for making sure that, those rules are there and they're being actually transferred into your employees' brains, before they even start working for you, I think that there will be some gap. And just so happened is that one person who that one day you were busy out of all your employees and you didn't train them and they did do that thing, and it's just catastrophe, right? That's all it takes. So, but I think, can we prevent 100% of accidents? Like, we cannot, but can we greatly minimize the risk of those accidents? Yes, we can. It's kind of like putting on a seatbelt. It's not like you expect to be hit by a truck, every day. But in case if you do get hit, then at least you've done your part and you minimize the risk of it and you minimize the damage from it.
That's a good illustration. Yes. And as you mentioned in the article, a simple checklist will get that done. Just make sure you do what you're supposed to do. Yep. Elena, there's 10 different points here. You covered 3. We appreciate that. Anyone can read this article. It's online right now in ISSA Today. The issue that's currently out and in print is coming to mailboxes soon. So thank you.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.